doesn't use gold. Gold is a luxury object, and Apple does not want you to think that their products are only for luxury. Apple wants
They
you to know.
should, though.
Apple wants you to know if you have no money or if you have a lot of money, you're never too good for Apple, or you're never too bad for Apple.
The only thing you can do with them that's useful is have them fart. Don't pay, and you can pay for fart packs on that.
Wait, Teddy, are you a redneck?
No.
Are any of your cats rednecks?
No. And hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fan Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Maggart from the iTunes Fanboy.
I am TabbyCat406 or Smash Tech.
And believe it or not, Alpha Day Wolf is actually, from the Random Alpha, is actually the late one this time, as he said that he's currently having tire issues.
Tire issues, unfortunately.
So we have to go. So I was actually just watching his latest road trip video on his drive channel for when he went to Green Bay. When he pulled into a gas station, and I was just watched that part when he pulled into a gas station because he had low tires. So it's a weird kind of coincidence, but
yeah.
Shall we go ahead and get started with our first actual topic, which is the iPad Air 7?
Yeah, let's get started with that. What do you think about it?
To be honest, I mean, is it a bad tablet? No, not really.
No,
However,
it's an iPad. It's hard to mess up an iPad.
Yeah, there's two things that the iPad Air. First of all, I think the iPad Air 7 is just. I think the iPad lineup as a whole is just a little bit too broad and complex. And Alpha's going to be home in a few minutes, and then he'll need 5 minutes to get set up.
Okay.
So, but as Alpha. Oh, you talk.
I was just gonna say, there's no logo on the back of the Air either. I knew there was no logo on the back of the 10, or I don't mean Apple logo, I mean iPad text. There's no iPad text on the back of the 11, not the 10. But there's also no text on the iPad Air, which is really weird.
Oh, Alpha also needs a shave, but yeah, it makes sense because iPhones haven't had the text on them iPhone text on them for so many years now. Since the 11 series, actually. But so it makes sense.
I feel like the iPhone makes a little bit more sense to get rid of the text because the iPhones have that like embedded Apple logo when the Apple logo on the iPads is like a physical part. Because on the iPhones, they have the glass back, which kind of feels like its own trademark to Apple.
Yeah, but I just think the iPad lineup is a little bit too complex, which is why I'm not fond of the iPad Air 7. But another thing I don't like about the iPad Air 7 is that. So let me actually grab my old iPad Air 5, which is conveniently located at the bottom of my stack of modern iPads, or the newer iPads in my collection, I should say. So right here, let me take my iPad Air 5 out of its case.
Hey, I just noticed something. They updated the iPad mini too.
No, they didn't. Or they did that last fall.
No, there's no there's no iPad text on the back of the iPad mini anymore. Wait, never mind. I clicked on iPad mini and it took me to iPad 10. That's a weird Apple website issue.
Yeah, because my iPad mini still says iPad mini on the back. But this iPad Air 5, it has a great color blue.
Yeah, I like that blue. The iPad mini, it still has the text, but it's a little bit hard to see in the Apple Press photos that they have.
But the problem is that in the iPad Air 6, they just washed out the blue and all the other colors so much. And now they kept the colors washed out the iPad Air 7.
Yeah,
they couldn't bother to change the colors.
Yeah.
That's just one of my minor pet peeves. But do you have anything more you want to say about the iPad?
Your voice is cutting out.
Or my AirPods fell out. Yo, my AirPods.
You there? Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, your voice cut out for a second.
Oh. So, shall I move on to... Do you have anything more to say about the iPad Air 7, or shall I move on to our next topic of the iPad 11?
Only thoughts I really have. I'm sure it's a nice iPad. It doesn't really have to exist. I feel like they could easily make the iPad mini the budget iPad, the iPad 10
Yeah.
or 11, I guess now. The more expensive iPad, just put a newer processor in there, put the
Yeah.
A18 or A17 in it. Then have the iPad Pro as the, top of the line. Or
Yeah.
even do it like this. Get rid of the iPad Air or get rid of the iPad 10, make the iPad Air cheaper. Get rid of that middle ground. Make it so you either go cheap or expensive because honestly at this point there's no one's buying the iPad Air at its current price. Well, how much is the iPad Pro starting? $999. And the
Yeah.
iPad Air starting is $699, right?
$599 actually.
I mean, I guess you're saving 400, but in a lot of ways it doesn't make sense to me why that iPad's being sold. And I think there's just too many iPads to choose from right now. I
Oh
really
yes.
like the iPad mini. Don't get me wrong. One of my
So do
favorite
I.
iPads. It doesn't make sense to keep in the lineup. I mean, it's purely a enthusiast or specialty device at this point. But it is what it is. What's the next topic that we have?
The iPad 11.
Same exact case. Um, it got a needed spec bump. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's a nice iPad. It's definitely better than the iPad 10. I think it's maybe the only iPad that's really worth the asking price that they want for it.
Yeah.
And I say that as an M4 iPad Pro owner. I like my iPad Pro a lot, but if I didn't have a trade-in towards that device, it's not a thousand. It's not an $1,000 device. Maybe I don't know, maybe 700, probably 700. Not $1,000. It's not a computer. It won't be a computer.
No.
Never will be a computer.
That's something to just that's or Alpha will probably go on a longer ramble on it, but that's basically what Alpha would say.
Yeah, I mean, don't understand why Apple has to charge this much for the iPad Pro.
I don't either, but I mean, I basically think the same thing about the iPad 11. Like, it is nice how they kept the color line like the same bright colors, and it is nice how it got its much needed spec bump. However, my one pet peeve about the iPad 10 is that, well, this really goes for all iPads, is why don't they make it in more colors?
The iPad 10's color should have changed a little bit this year.
Yeah,
The
because they
iPad
should have
11's, I
had,
mean.
because we know that's possible for Apple to possibly expand, well, really all iPads to, I mean, if they're made out of the same aluminum, they should really expand them to, offer, well, progress. They
16
still have the
color.
partnership, orange, green, purple, like they should, black,
Yeah.
like offering all those
Remember when
colors.
you could buy an iPhone 6 with the same colors as the iPad Pro?
Remember back when you
Gold,
could actually match
space
up
gray, silver.
Remember back when you could actually match up your colors between your Apple devices?
Yep. Now if you want to do that, you either get black or white. In some cases, you can get away with Starlight, but Starlight is definitely not the same on all devices. That is a
No.
stupid color. They should have just made a white or gold, whatever.
No, I think Apple should just go ahead and start making making the colors between. I think Apple should personally just make all the products colors between different tiers of Apple products the same. Like, have the colors on the Pro versions of everything be the same, and have the colors of the regular
Exactly.
versions be the same. And like for the SE versions, like have all those colors be the same.
Exactly. But yeah, that's kind of more or less what I think about the iPad 11.
Yeah.
What's the next topic? Is it that new MacBook Air?
Yeah, the 2025 MacBook Air is our next topic, and what I have to say about it is it's a good upgrade. I like how it got center stage, and I like its new sky blue color, even though it's a little bit washed out. However, number one, like, why can't Apple make that in more colors? But number two, the one thing that irritates me the most about that computer is that Apple, for some reason, can't put one USB-C port on each side, because let me actually grab my 2014 MacBook Air, one of them, to show you. The MacBook Air, believe it or not, used to have one USB, well, back when it was USB-A, but one USB-A port per side.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense, because you need to plug in stuff.
Especially with USB-C, because you can charge from either side.
Yeah, exactly! And yet you can't...
That's like the one benefit to USB-C over MagSafe. I'm glad that we can charge with both, though.
Yes. I mean, I honestly think that on MacBook Pros, Apple should maybe put MagSafe on both sides. And hi, Alpha.
Hi.
What happened? We were just talking about the M4
cannot
MacBook
get a break
Air.
from tires. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a separate story for later. Just me and tires have not been getting along as of late.
Okay, well, Tabby, what are your thoughts on the 2025 MacBook Air?
It's overpriced, but it's a nice computer. I mean, I feel like at this point, I hate to say everything Apple's making is overpriced, but the only things that Apple's like making that are not overpriced: the iPad 10, the Mac Mini, basically every iPhone besides the 16e, and like the Mac Studio and the MacBook Pro. Because it's like, I swear, the 16e, that's too much for what they're asking, right? Like, it's a great phone. I have one in hand right now. I like it. They could have made it cheaper. Okay, the MacBook Air, it's a great computer. I have no complaints about the computer, except for $999, you're getting 256 gigs of storage. Come on. You're getting an LCD 60 hertz panel, which, yeah, average people don't care. But where is all this price? Where are they coming up with this price? iPad, 11, that makes sense. That thing is priced really well at $350. Then you get into all these Apple devices. iPad Pro, why is it $999? I mean, yeah, OLEDs are expensive, but come on, $999 for a tablet that they say can be a computer, but in reality, no. iPad's not a computer. It won't be a computer. You can't make an iPad into a computer and do the same things that you do on a computer. Well, I should rephrase that. Not everybody can do the same things on a computer and an iPad. Take Final Cut Pro, for example. I think me and Alpha both damn well know Final Cut Pro is awful on the iPad and it's pretty good on the computer.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. They shouldn't call it Final Cut Pro for iPad. It's not Final Cut Pro. It's iMovie Plus.
Pretty much, yeah. I do want to pitch in about the price tag on it, and the thing is, actually, let me ask you this: how much do you think the MacBook Air should cost?
I think it should cost $799.
So that's about as much money as my mom's, at the time, her Dell laptop cost. And at the time, it had a Core i7, albeit it's on the lower end of the Core i7s, but it had a Core i7, 12 gigs of RAM. I think it's half a terabyte of storage, I think. But for $700, $800, there's a lot of shortcomings with that laptop. And sure, well, it had those decent specs, plus the 17-inch touchscreen and such. The build quality, screen had a lot of flex, which is surprising for an aluminum build, but somehow it had a lot of flex. The speakers on it are just trash. Absolute bad speakers.
Well, let me put this into perspective, though. Does HP make that or Dell?
It's a Dell. I found Dell usually makes nicer laptops than HP.
Everything that Dell makes is a step above HP, but everything that Dell makes is a step below Apple.
Yep.
So you kind of have to realize, Apple will make individual parts for individual computers. You won't ever see a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro share the same speaker assembly or the same display assembly.
But they're still higher end than the competition at that price point.
They are, but imagine how many more people we could, get on the Mac OS ecosystem.
That's always a good point. That I remember making a video a few years ago. Teddy, do you remember this?
Yes, I do. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I made a video a few years ago talking about how Apple actually chooses a lot of higher end components that maybe not necessarily everyone would spring for. But as I have found, and PC hardware enthusiasts have found, despite that, yeah, everyone doesn't like the price tags of these things. The truth is, believe it or not, like Apple's not famous for, well, Apple's kind of famous for always charging huge markups over the bill of materials. But when you actually add up the bill of materials, usually Apple charges about market rates for them.
I mean, yeah, it's a really nice computer, but the MacBook Air, I I can't see it being 999 to build. And I understand, right?
It's
Like
got
it
they have
R
employees to
and
pay. They have software to
R&D for
develop.
Apple Silicon is expensive. But like when the MacBook Pro it's a good bit more, right? We can all say yeah, the MacBook Pro, that's a good bit more. You're
Yeah.
getting so much more. You're getting more ports, more storage, more RAM, better display, better build quality, longer battery life, I believe, faster charging. I can keep going. Brighter display. You're getting that XDR display on that. You're paying so much money, but you're getting so much more of a computer. And I understand it's a lot more. And I'm not saying everyday people should go and buy a MacBook Pro. I'm just saying Apple should make the MacBook Air more. Apple should make the MacBook Air more of a affordable option, and then they should put a lot of the like really high end parts into the 14-inch MacBook Pro with M4, just non-Pro, just the M4. And if they do that right, they could appeal to the lower end market on the MacBook Air. The MacBook Pro M4 would be kind of the mid-range market. Then the M4 Pro would be the high-end market, especially that 60-inch, because that 16-inch is a beast of a machine.
Yeah.
I just don't know how they do it without cutting more corners, though, because again, I do believe it all adds up to $1,000. The thing is, what corners do
Yeah.
they cut even more?
Well, I don't see the thing about it is the display on the MacBook Air is nice, but it's not that nice. It's an LCD,
To
it's a
to the
13-inch
average
LCD panel.
to the average Joe, and in that class of laptop, it, it's it's pretty darn nice.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
it's a great display, but it's not like you're paying like $400 per panel for just this absolute like stunner of a display like the 14-inch. I mean, it's a good display. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discredit the screen itself. I'm just saying it's a little bit the price doesn't add up to me because it is a thin laptop. They can't be using that much aluminum. And then
It's expensive
256
to
because
machine
if
though,
they do
because if you're using aluminum that thin, you do have to cast it, and like also aluminum comes in different grades. I should know this. I literally work with this stuff, by the way. It doesn't, it's aluminum isn't just one alloy. There are many different aluminum alloys out there, some more expensive than others, and what Apple's using has to be on the more expensive end, considering how, for one, durable and rigid, how it doesn't flex despite its thinness. So I can't believe they're using a cheap grade of aluminum. And
no, they're
also, it's
not.
recycled aluminum, which is, I think that's even harder to get than just buying brand new aluminum freshly casted.
Yeah, I guess I don't know that much about aluminum, so I shouldn't really be talking there, but I feel like Apple could reach so many more markets if the MacBook Air was a little bit, cheaper. And it's just it is a nice computer, but maybe it's just me. I couldn't see myself getting $1,000 worth of usage out of this computer, at a point where everything's expensive in life, but $1,000 is no joke. I mean, that could be a down payment on some sort of a car. Cheaper car, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. I mean, what I personally think Apple should do with the Mac lineup is I think they should have the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, and then they should have a MacBook SE, which is my idea for a MacBook SE is to literally just have it be like a Chromebook where it's just web based.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really what I feel like that's more or less the iPad 10. Because if it's
But
web
would have
based, then
like a proper keyboard and trackpad like integrated.
I'm not too on board with that idea, but I could understand what you're
Neither am
talking
I.
about.
In fact, what I would like to see in a cheaper MacBook is, what's wrong with plastics? Apple makes some nice
Yeah.
plastics. They use some nice plastics in some of their stuff.
No,
AirPods.
No,
Polycarbonate
I don't like.
MacBook was a
I don't
prime
even like how
example.
AirPods use plastic. I want metal AirPods.
Well, you don't,
not-
but that doesn't mean everyone else doesn't.
I would hate to
don't-
have. I would hate to have metal AirPods when I'm out in the cold. Just saying. That would freeze my ears off.
Get a
AirPods-
case for your AirPods then.
Well,
Or else
not
we're-
Then they
everybody
won't
wants to
fit
put
my
a case
ears.
over there. No, I think you
I
mean
meant
the
a case
AirPods
for
case
the. I
itself.
meant a case for this.
The charging case.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we're off topic here, and
Yes.
we should probably fix that.
Yeah, we should
So
fix
what
that.
else
Given the.
do we have?
So does anybody? So do you have any more thoughts on the M4 MacBook Air, or shall I move on to the new Mac Studio?
I don't. Alpha might though.
I mean, I don't have too many thoughts because to me, it's mostly just a spec bump. The biggest thing I'm happy to see was the price being brought back down to $9.99. I always appreciate a price cut, but
Yes, that does make it a lot better because I imagine the M3 MacBook Air was, especially the 13-inch one, was a hard sell just because they were still selling the M2. But
yeah,
Did the 15-inch one
could
get cut down 100 too?
no, it did. I think the 15-inch
What?
one's still 1,200.
No, the 15-inch got a price cut too.
See, the 15-inch I could. What's that? $10.99 or $11.99 now?
It's $11.99, $200. That's usually how Apple has it. If you spec, like if the MacBook Pros, if you spec the 14 and the 16-inch equivalently, the price difference comes $200 for the screen size difference.
See, the 15-inch for $1,200 though, I feel like that is a little. I feel like that's quite good,
Yeah.
just because of what you're getting there. Because I feel like you're more likely to use a 15-inch laptop for longer than a 13-inch laptop, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, again, from
Still,
my perspective when it comes to screen size on laptops, I hate it when people say 16-inch MacBook Pro isn't it's just not as portable as the 14 or the 13. Like, guys, it's a laptop. It's designed to be portable in the first place. Don't tell me it's less portable. That's just a bunch of baloney.
Also, Mac, it's not just about screen size. It's about all sorts of other things, like how chubby your laptop is. Like I can actually point to.
I still wish they made a 17-inch or an 18-inch MacBook Pro. That would be cool.
Yeah, same here. Not. I would obviously take it, but like everyone's excuse trying to claim, oh, I didn't go the 16-inch MacBook Pro because it's not as portable as the 14-inch. It's like, no, I don't buy any of it. None of it.
This
Now, if you want to go 14-inch over 16-inch because you're looking to save some money, I won't fault you for that. But to say,
When I
but
went
to
for
try
the
to come up with the
14-inch
excuse of, oh, 16-inch is less portable than the 14-inch, that's why I went 14-inch. No, you're full of it. I'm sorry.
So my part about it,
this is a 13-inch 2010 MacBook Pro. At least I think this is my 2010. And I have to say that this thing, even though it's smaller, this thing feels a lot heavier than my current 16-inch M3 late 2023
probably about the
Pro,
same
and even
weight.
and that feels even heavier than my old 16-inch 2019 MacBook Pro.
Oh yeah, but my thing about going for the 14-inch was, it was kind of more about like variety, because I already used the 16-inch for a while at that point. I just kind of wanted something different,
I see that.
and I wasn't taking advantage of the 16-inch screen size. The price cut was nice, but also when I used the 14-inch ones, I don't know, it just felt more comfortable like on my lap and stuff when I was actually using it like that, and it was just easier to just shove places. and just like stuff it like on a shelf, stuff like that on a desk. So that's kind of where I was coming from. I like my 14-inch MacBook Pro a lot. Just a nice computer overall.
Yeah, it's not bad. But to say like the 16-inch isn't worth it for portability reasons, I take lots of
Oh,
issues
it's worth
with.
it if
Yeah.
it's worth it if you're Hey, think about it like this. That computer's got the power of a desktop. If you're worried about portability, I mean, it's not like think about it this way. You can get a Mac Mini with the same processor as the MacBook Pro. Which one of those is going to be portable, period?
Yeah, the
It's
MacBook
not about
Pro.
how portable it is. It's more about the fact that you can bring it places, you know? And
I
I
mean,
feel
you
like
can
a lot of
technically
the
bring a
times
Mac. You can technically bring a Mac Mini places, but you gotta plug in a power supply, a keyboard, mouse, and monitor.
yeah, no one's doing that in the back of a car or on a plane
No.
or on a bus. If you want to get like real work done, you buy a 16-inch MacBook Pro and then you just use that in place of a desktop. If you want to get work done while portable, like on the go, you already have a desktop. Honestly, 14-inch MacBook Pro might make more sense because you're saving more money that you could put into the desktop, which is going to be used more.
Yeah,
And what
I'd
are you
say
going
it
to
makes
use the
sense
bigger display?
to, but yeah, saving money on your laptop if you're most likely to use your desk. Yeah, that makes sense. But
Then another part about it, you're probably going to use the laptop less. So it's like you don't really need the greatest of the great unless you have just a lot of money. Then by all means,
yeah,
spec out whatever you want.
but yeah, at
However
that
you want
point, like
to.
that again, saving money by cutting the screen size. Yeah, that makes total sense. I won't fault people for doing that. But for doing, but
I think it's more
just
about
just to
preference.
say the 16-inch, the 16-inch it just isn't as portable. That's where I take fault. It literally makes no sense to me because it's designed to be portable in the first place.
Yeah. All right. Well, I believe we've been rambling on that for a little bit now. So shall I move on to the new Mac Studio?
Sure.
Tabby getting a replacement.
Good. Yeah, no, I'm gonna try and stick with this one as long as I can because the trade-in value is not there. Um, if I'm able to keep this one for another year before it just entirely breaks down, I'll be happy.
I'm surprised you're still using that thing despite the issues you've
Yeah.
had over the years.
It
Pisses me
died
off.
on during
I
the
hate
season
the thing,
three.
but
It died during the season 3 premiere of TIFP.
the thing is a mess, but it's the best desktop that I have, so I've tried using the MacBook Pro in place of it. I once you just once you have a desktop dedicated to this type of stuff, you're not going back to the laptop connected to a
Yeah.
dock because it works well, the laptop with the dock. But when you have the desktop, you have that permanent like in place computer. You know it's always going to be on. It's not, you don't have to worry about, oh, did I forget the laptop? Did I leave the laptop on the dock? Do I have the laptop somewhere else in the house? Do I have to go get
Makes
it? It's
sense.
it's a fixed item, which I like. And honestly, it is a little bit more powerful than the MacBook Pro. So
Well, yeah, of
that's
course.
a plus. I
That's
mean, it's
partial.
not too bad because I have the M2 Pro MacBook Pro and this is the M1 Max Mac Studio. So there's a little bit of a difference, but it's not as much as if I had like the M1 Pro versus M1 Max.
Yeah, I personally like how I have like my Toshi. Like one reason why back when I was doing a whole lot of jailbreaking and such, one reason why I loved using my Toshiba Windows 7 desktop for that was because it was just always on, so I didn't have to worry about a laptop's battery charge and such. But getting back on topic to the Mac Studio, I have one major complaint. Here are my thoughts. It's a good computer, but the naming, why not? Why did Apple call it the M3 Ultra when they should have called it the M4 Ultra?
Wait, hold on, let me check this out. I thought they that's really stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you saw
I'm
my initial
wondering if
reaction
it's
video,
Well, I'm wondering if it's because they have something different for M4 Ultra because if I recall, the big jump between M3 and M4, that architecture is all the AI core enhancements and such. And so I'm wondering if the M3 Ultra doesn't technically have those cores, therefore it doesn't
Eh,
justify the M4 name, and they're working on something with
eh.
the extra neural cores and such. Just it's not
Number
ready yet.
That's a valid point, but here's two other counter arguments. Number one, no one cares about Apple Intelligence, and number two, oh yeah, the M and the I checked in the M3 Ultra at least right now has more cores than the M4 Max, so
So I'm looking at this right now.
and the M3
If I
already supports Apple
was
Intelligence.
what?
And the M3 already supports Apple Intelligence.
Yeah. So if I was to upgrade, I would be getting 6 more CPU cores, 12 more, wait, not 12, 8 more GPU cores. Um, I would be getting 4 more gigabytes of RAM. I It still comes with 512 gigs of SSD storage. I would put that to 1 TB real quick. Um, so it's like it's okay. It's not the only reason I'd upgrade is to get rid of the issues and to get more storage. But did they change the ports array at all? No,
No, it
same
actually
ports.
surprisingly still has USB A, Type A and Ethernet.
I was expecting that. They're
Yeah.
not. They're not gonna change the whole chassis of the computer on a spec bump just to get rid of something that people would whine about them getting rid of.
Yeah, I mean,
In my opinion, it's
US,
kind of
USB-A
useless
is
for me, but
USB-A is just starting to become more of an obsolete standard. But I
it's
mean,
okay for
it's
like
not
mice and
exactly like
keyboards.
it's not like USB-A. It's not like a USB-A port is gonna. I mean, what am I trying to structure my sentences here? USB-A is an obsolete standard, but because USB-A is a whole lot thicker than USB-C, I mean, it makes sense, but it's also like it's not going to matter on the Mac Studio until they
Yeah,
redesign it.
I don't know. It's like it's there. It doesn't bother me to have it. It's kind of nice to have the extra
Yeah.
ports. But yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't come in matte black. Wasn't expecting it to, but imagine a space black Mac Studio.
I mean, that would actually be kind of cool. Again, why doesn't Apple add more colors to their computers or make all
The
the color
MacBook
lineups
Pro
the
has
same?
space black, so why not the Mac Studio? You know,
Yeah,
the MacBook Pro should come in Starlight, like that gold color. I would buy that.
it should come in just
Or I would
regular
probably
gold,
buy that.
period. Or else they should just get the color lineups the same between the iPhone Pro, the iPad Pro, and the MacBook Pro. MacBook
Oh,
Pro.
imagine a desert titanium MacBook Pro. That would look
You mean a
awesome.
gold? Just call it a gold MacBook Pro, but yes.
Apple doesn't use gold because
Oh,
Apple doesn't use gold. Gold is a luxury object, and Apple does not want you to think that their products are only for luxury. Apple wants you
They
to know.
should, though.
Apple wants you to know if you have no money or if you have a lot of money, you're never too good for Apple or you're never too bad for Apple, right?
That's actually that might be why Apple got. Actually, that would make perfect sense for why Apple got rid of gold.
I'm pretty sure that's why they got rid of gold. Um, that sounds like something Apple would say.
I mean, I wonder if there was actually a loss. I wonder if there was actually. Oh, we
It's
probably
not a
would have heard about
lawsuit.
this.
It's more of
I wonder if there was like
PR.
some sort of issue that Apple had with maybe some sort of loss. They had some sort of lawsuit coming because they weren't actually
It's
selling
because Apple
gold.
thinks too hard about this stuff.
I mean,
It's
I don't
like
think there was.
Apple's executives get into a room and it's like Apple's like executives get into a room and they get on some funky stuff and they just start brainstorming. And I swear all of Apple's executives got to be high the way they're making these decisions.
That's why. Well, I mean, they're in California, so you
Think
know.
about it. They're gonna say, "Guys, I got the future of Apple. AI."
Oh my.
No sane person's well, I don't know. Maybe they really
If I
Really
had to
expected
guess,
Apple
it's
intelligence to.
probably a combination of that and just
Investor pressure.
stock. Yeah, investors and stockholders. It's just
I guess.
yeah.
I
I think
really
Apple
wonder-
stockholders are really holding them back, especially when it came to one thing that I don't want to. Why does everything have to tie back to politics? I just want to get out of it. But there was one decision that Apple wanted to make that would, in theory, help them hire more experienced and more qualified people that apparently the shareholders turned down.
Huh.
I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to tie politics into this because I had enough of it.
Yeah, I know exactly what Alpha's talking, or I have a pretty good idea of what Alpha's saying.
Yeah. But yeah, they tried to get rid of a policy that would help them actually find more qualified people to work on the job, and shareholders are like, nope, screw you, make us more money with what you got. Even if it results.
Sometimes I wonder if Apple's executives or Apple's employees actually do use drugs, which is how come they make all these decisions.
I'm sure at least one of them has to have something like that going on.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to make a lot of sense why so many of Apple's other employees have just left. Like, we lost Johnny Ive a while ago, Phil Schiller.
We lost Phil Schiller.
Yeah, he's been gone for a while.
You know what the best Apple employee who they fired was?
Scott Forstall.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
He screwed up one
That
time
guy.
with Apple Maps and he got fired.
That guy was cool. That guy had some good designs.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had too big of an ego that caused him to get fired on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't think it was right for him to get fired, but I don't think Scott Forstall would want to come back at this point since it's been almost 13 years, coming up on 13 years.
Probably up to bigger things. Well, I don't know. Actually, he's probably not up to bigger things, but he's probably up to bigger things in his own mind.
Yeah.
He probably thinks he's up to bigger things.
Yeah, he's probably doing some. He's probably got some. I'm sure he's been employed somewhere else for a long time now.
Oh, I mean, would you hire an ex-Apple employee with as much influence as Scott Forstall for your company? I would.
And also, Scott Forstall probably has the ex. I think Scott actually started his own company, but Scott Forstall. Go. This is on Wikipedia. He became a Broadway producer.
Oh.
Wow,
I guess.
that's a big pivot. That's a pretty big pivot.
Yeah, I don't know how you went from Apple to Broadway, but I guess if it works.
Again, this is from Wikipedia, so...
It's something.
All right. Anywho, what else do we have on the docket?
Oh yeah, so let me go ahead and drink some water. So, speaking of water, Apple products have to fly over the oceans to get from their plants to our homes here in America. That is about to change. Because Apple is investing $500 million into manufacturing in the United States.
Wrong letter. It's not an M, it's a B.
500 billion.
Yes. It's not an M, it's a B. $500 billion.
And people don't think that bringing manufacturing to the United States will work. Apple certainly
I would
seems to think otherwise.
I wish I could talk more about this, but again, it brings back the same issues of it gets back into
Yeah.
politics again.
Oh
It's just
yeah.
I'm personally kind of curious to know what's going through Tim Cook's head right now, because I think it's obvious Tim Cook has always been more left leaning than right, and yet
Yeah.
he donated how much money to Trump's inauguration, and now he's doing this.
Five. I mean Tim Cook, again, this is gonna get a little political, but I think Tim Cook personally likes I think Tim Cook is a little bit more tolerant of Donald Trump, just because even though he's not right wing, Donald Trump was, well, I mean, he still is, but he was a big businessman before he began his political career, so naturally, that might be why. But also, I think another reason too is that, unlike some of the other top executives at Apple, Tim Cook is actually from Alabama, and Alabama is a very red state. So,
Kind of shocking for a very left man, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
just
kind
saying,
of
like,
curious to know what's going
these
through
are
his
just
head at this
theories.
point, because he's making a lot of pivots that aren't consistent with his beliefs. So,
I think he's just doing. I think he's probably. We know Apple's probably trying to kiss up to the president.
wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah,
So-
especially so that way the president will actually call him Tim Cook and not Tim Apple.
Tim Apple.
Yeah, wasn't it Trump that gave him that name?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I think
was.
so.
I found it so hilarious when Tim decided to actually live up to the meme, and he literally changed his name on Twitter to be Tim Apple.
There's
I
some
thought it was
jokes that you
funny.
just gotta run with.
I mean, I'd say
Definitely one way for him to do it.
Yeah. I mean, to wrap up this thing, though, I'd say it's really good that. I mean, a lot of people complain that our tech is made in China and such. So. I don't know. I'm curious to see. The biggest thing I'm curious to see is how is this going to affect the price of the products, because while we know you can take advantage of those poor Chinese people by paying them super little and therefore helping bring down the cost of such. I don't know what happens when you actually start paying people real proper wages to make these things. If
You know what
anything,
else is going to be interesting to see?
Yeah, what?
How quick are we going to be able to get new devices?
That's
Because
another
think
thing
about it.
too. That cuts down on shipping
gonna-
time.
Which again,
And also,
which
what's
could
going to
ship-
happen
cut
to the
down
leaks?
shipping. What's gonna happen to the what?
The Apple leaks, because it's going to be a lot easier for Apple devices to get out of the factory now.
Oh, yeah, you got a good point.
And then also, what if Apple just doesn't produce anything until the iPhone is announced? Because at this point, Apple could pump these iPhones out like no man's business at this point, because if they don't have to ship that stuff overseas, which let me tell you, you can get stuff from China to the US quick. My Nothing phone went from China to the US within a day. So it's not like it's going to take them forever. But if they don't have to do that, I mean, if they can do it that quick already, think about how quick they can do it in the US.
well, I'm not so sure
Oh
if
yeah,
they would
I
actually.
mean they can.
Knowing
and
Tim
furthermore-
Cook being the logistical man that he is, he would definitely still have some produced to make sure that, because a big thing that I've been paying attention to Nvidia's latest GPU launch, and they've gotten literally everything wrong. They launched the GPU and they basically made almost no stock. Nobody can get it. The price is so high, and everyone's like, you know what? Just forget it. Like Nvidia just launched the product wrong. But the way Apple
Yeah.
handles it is they have a lot of stock produced on hand where quality control is, for the most part, pretty much figured out. And so that way, when you hit pre-order, you're getting your iPhone on time.
Exactly. And one point I want to make is that I think that Apple's doing a great thing with their diversification of manufacturing, since I don't think Apple should shut down their Chinese plants just because, there's still people that buy Apple products in China. But think about it. They could have many, many plants. Like, that way, if one plant goes down, there's still lots of plants that'll make Apple products.
Yeah, true. Yeah, diversifying your suppliers. That's always it helps bring down your costs because then you get competition in that regards between the suppliers, and then also if something happens to one, well, you didn't put all your eggs in one basket. So yeah, lots of benefits to this. Politics aside, there's a lot of benefits to Apple producing their stuff here in the U.S.
And furthermore, they're employing lots of people in the United States so that way they can afford Apple products and greater things.
I'm sure a lot of people would love that.
All right, well, do you have anything more to say about this, or shall we move on to our next topic?
That's about it.
Yeah, I think we hit the nail on the coffin on that one.
All right, so my next topic that I just wanted to briefly mention is that I signed up for Apple Music, and I have to say, so far, I'm really impressed with it.
It's a really nice service.
Yes, and it's so, and I actually like how it pays artists too, unlike Spotify.
Yeah, that's the big one.
I mean, it's not quite as good as what's that other stream? There's another music streaming service that I'm blanking on the name right now, but it pays
Amazon
artists.
Music, Deezer, Tidal.
Tidal.
SoundCloud.
No, it's Tidal that pays artists even more than Apple Music.
Well, they're also paying for like nicer versions, like the lossless stuff. That was Tidal's biggest thing until Apple got in on the space. But like, they weren't just paying for the rights to stream. Like they wanted like the full lossless quality. They wanted to stream that.
Yeah, Tidal technically pays their artists more, than Apple Music. But I mean, Apple Music. The thing I like about Apple Music is that it's already integrated easily into all my devices. Like the app's already on all my devices. I don't have to create a separate account.
Yeah, other benefits that I like to Apple Music as well is I already have a ton of purchased music. I don't have to go to separate apps for streaming versus the purchased music, and it's all in one spot.
Yep. So do you have anything more to say about this, or shall I move on to our next topic? Because
No, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
We do
All
have
right.
to be a little bit quicker today, though, because we did start an hour later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Our next topic is that Amazon has also announced their first quantum computer.
Is it just like a warehouse computer, or like how's this?
It's
Is it
primarily
a corporate computer, or is it a
It's-
personal computer?
no, it's not. It's not a personal computer, and I don't think it's even enterprise. I think it's largely just like, like all these other quantum computers, it's largely just experimental right now,
Oh,
and for labs and whatnot.
Really not
I
a fan of
guess.
Amazon's tech.
Yeah.
Like their store.
AWS is cool.
AWS. What is that?
Amazon Web Services
Oh. Yeah, I'd say
doesn't go down as much as Media or whatever the other one is.
yeah. Well, they've got a great marketplace, and it's really handy to have that site when whatever you're looking for isn't found locally. Like that's a pretty common issue where I live because I live in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, having Amazon is nice for that, but Not much of a fan of their music service. Neither of their smart assistant Alexa devices. I have not found them useful at all or applicable in my setting.
The only thing you can do with them that's useful is have them fart.
Pretty much.
Don't pay, and you can pay for fart packs on them.
Yeah, we found that out the hard way. I mean, I'm not a fan of the content on Amazon Prime TV or
Prime Video.
I don't. Yeah, Prime Video and then when it comes to their tech products, for one, Kindle is an app you can download on iOS and Android. Just saying. You don't need to buy an Amazon specific tablet to use for the Kindle app. You can download it on an iPad or an Android tablet. And a big problem that I especially have with Amazon and their tablets is, yes, they're Android based, but Amazon doesn't put the Google Play Store on it. They limit you to only their app store, and a lot of the apps that you can download and use on it are mostly heavily web-based, to the point where once the internet goes out, forget it. The tablet's basically useless.
On every Kindle that I've ever owned, I've sideloaded the Play Store onto.
Well, yeah, enthusiasts would do that, but I mean, what about average Joes? Sideloading?
Because mind you, the Kindle Fire tablets are cheap. So obviously, average.
I mean, they're cheap, but there's a reason they're cheap.
They also break easily too. We've gone through many broken tablet Kindle Fires before.
I drop tested one time.
How'd it do?
It's surprisingly average, maybe a little bit worse than average. I mean, it wasn't like unusable, but when you crack them, it's just the digitizer goes quickly after, from what I can remember, and you just don't want to get stuck with a cracked up Kindle Fire.
This is one of my dad's old ones.
Huh?
This is one of my dad's old Kindle Fires.
Yeah, it's just from what I've learned when it comes to their Kindle Fires, it's just you're better off just getting a Samsung tablet. For what, like they say, the Amazon's tablets are cheap. You can find pretty darn cheap Samsung tablets, and they'll still have better build quality, and you don't have to hack the Play Store onto it.
Oh, let's not even talk about the ads on the lock screen.
Yeah, I mean...
that's another problem Amazon has.
I mean, you can order higher-end versions that don't have that, but... Like on Echoes, on their Echo devices, all they have are ads on the lock screen, which is why I'm actually considering getting one of those terminal smart displays.
Getting a what?
So you know that terminal smart display that Snazzy Labs, or Quinn from Snazzy Labs reviewed?
Haven't seen that one yet.
Neither have I.
It's basically a $130 smart ink display, and you can basically program it to show whatever you want, and I hate to admit it, but I'm weirdly tempted.
That does sound cool.
I've always struggled to understand the concept of like the general category those are in is like smart speakers with a built-in display on them. To me, I'd rather just get a tablet if I need another display in the house, because
I mean that's why I said
at that point a big problem with these smart display or smart speaker, whatever these things are, they have to be fixed in a point in your house. And for how useful they are,
I'd say it's actually kind of the point of them. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it in this way, it's like, why do you wear a watch instead of having your phone? You're always going to know where you can check the time. You know, I feel like it's the same on these smart displays. It's like it's gonna be there, and also a lot of it is decoration for the house because you can have them turn into picture frames. Like with the
That
tablet, it's nice for usability and utility, but I feel like a smart display is more of a luxury. Like not everyone's gonna have an Echo Show in their house, something like
no.
that. Everyone, or mostly everyone, has some form of a tablet, whether it's an older iPad or a Kindle Fire or a laptop that turns into a tablet. That's pretty common to see, but it's a lot less common to see just like someone with a, I don't know, Amazon Echo Show, or I think that's the only one on the market right now besides the one Teddy's talking about, which seems to be an
There's
enthusiast one
Google
though.
Nest
The
devices
net,
that do the same thing, and
the Nest
Oh, those
Hubs.
things. They're
yeah, is
I
Facebook
can't hate on
still
them too
selling
much.
the Portal?
Mm,
Is that still a thing?
forgot about that thing.
Oh, please
Yeah.
don't. Yes, that is a thing.
Ugh. It's also very hypocritical. Mark was like, "Oh, we don't believe in a future where everybody has a camera in their living room,"
Oh,
and that was the device that made them hypocrites.
and the Zuck here. And why should the Zuck be trustworthy? I mean, he said the copyright should be unblocked.
Huh?
Mark Zuckerberg said that copyright should be removed.
Weird.
Yeah, he believes that so that way, he can get around all of the legal mumble jumble to train AI and such.
Yeah, we've already gone into that, but shall
Yeah.
I move on to another stupid topic involving Microsoft?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So Microsoft is testing a free version of Microsoft Office, like that's an actual app with ads, and because it's limited, you'll only be able to save files to OneDrive, and it'll have limited features. Yes, for Office apps, and it's currently being tested in a small amount in India.
Not being able to save to your local hard drive?
No.
That's... Why bother?
Just use Google Docs. Or else just download OpenOffice.
Because a key
Who's gonna
thing...
use this?
Yeah, a key thing that people buy Microsoft Office for on Windows is they don't want to store their documents in the cloud. Be it for, what happens if the internet goes out?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's why my dad
that causes
hates
a massive
Microsoft.
problem.
Or that's why my dad hates Google Docs.
Yeah, I've always had issues with that, having unreliable internet for so many years. There's that reason. Then there's also potential security reasons. Because it's not your hard drive. It's a hard drive on someone else's server. So, being able to edit on your local machine, it drives me nuts that so many tech companies are moving away from just doing things locally and not needing the cloud for almost everything you do these days.
Yeah, Apple discontinued the Xserve, the Mac, and the Mac Mini server in the airport. So you can't even build your own servers easily with Apple hardware.
You still got Mac Minis, but...
You have Mac Minis, but not like the dedicated server ones.
No. Just...
Man, that $500 Mac Mini's appealing to me, though.
It is so...
One day I'm gonna buy one. One day I'm gonna buy one of those.
Yeah,
maybe soon. I just need to be able to justify spending another $500 on a computer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but
But
speaking of
yeah,
computers,
just
shall I move on
what
to
is
our...
why? It's like the only reason why I think people continue to use Office to this day, despite that, I think most people universally agree it costs way more than it should. It's just to be able to actually edit stuff offline. Google will try to tell you, oh, you can edit your Google Docs offline. BS. I've tried it too many times, and how many times does it work? Let me think about that. Oh, yeah, a grand total of zilch. It never works because it's a web-based application.
You know what I think it is? Why people still use Office? It's a brand
Why's
name
that?
application, and I don't think that people are ready to switch to something else because Microsoft Office, that's a pretty well-known application. I don't
That's
think people
fair.
are
Yep.
ready to switch.
And
And it's like, if
also,
that's
I
the
mean,
case, that's the
everybody
case.
else still uses Office, so I mean...
That, and I gotta give them credit for one thing. Excel. Microsoft Excel is a very powerful tool.
So is Numbers, though. And so is Google Sheets.
Not as powerful as Excel, as I've learned.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you can do some... You can build, like, GUI interfaces with Excel.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Wow.
like they're... Yeah, like you can actually take a class at my school to learn how to build like stuff, that kind of stuff in Excel, which I signed up as one of my alternates, or
That's cool.
one of my
Yeah,
alternate
I don't know if
but
Numbers can do that. So,
I doubt it can,
yeah.
but I also don't know much about spreadsheets, so
yeah. I mean, I'm not the master of My dad is a... He's a magician when it comes to manipulating Excel to do all sorts of stuff. But yeah, Excel is a very powerful tool. And if you're going to use Excel, well, why not use Microsoft's other tools, which... To say they're bad, it would be wrong. They're pretty decent.
it's just that they're overpriced.
Yeah, they're alright tools.
Yeah.
Not even really the price, because I feel like a lot of people just justify it by putting it on a business expense.
Yeah.
It's like, think about
I
it.
suppose.
Your business will probably cover it.
True.
I mean, that's true. It's just that it's just a little bit overpriced.
Well,
Just
the
a
other
little
thing too is what
overpriced.
about in the home setting? What about for home setting, like students needing to work on their homework? Last I checked,
That.
yeah, our school only pays for Microsoft licenses for their own computers, not for home computers.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
My school does that exact, just like many other schools. My school does the same exact thing because although to be honest, Microsoft Office, I see it being used less and less in my school.
Well,
Like,
that's because for the
I see
most
Google
part, a
Workspace
big
being used so
benefit
much
to
more.
Google Docs is it's cloud based, so that way you can access it on your school computers or you can access it at home. It makes it easier for students. And a big thing that I learned back when I was in school was apparently our librarian was very afraid of students plugging in flash drives into their computers because, well, I guess it's a good way to put viruses on them without the teachers and adults knowing. So, like,
I can see
my
that.
librarian told me
That's
that.
true.
But I told her, I have to do this. I have no choice. Our internet is so unreliable, I can't use Google Docs because if it goes out, I can't do that night's homework. So I have to resort to offline alternatives. And that means carrying my documents on a USB stick. Yeah, I did it old school.
To be honest, that's a perfectly valid way of doing it. But I think another big reason why Google or Workspace is so prevalent in schools is because number one, my school doesn't use Chromebooks anymore, but many schools still do. And also, my school still has Chromebooks, but I don't use them as much as the iPads. But also, Google Classroom integration.
That and just like the cost of for one, like the G Suite in terms of docs, slides, and sheets. That you're not paying anything for those. So
It's just like the
from a financial standpoint, it makes a lot more sense as well. Just combining the convenience of, hey, it's all in the cloud, so that means these students can access it anywhere, be it at school, at home, and that was a big reason why my school pushed for it so much. It's because they are cheapskates, literal cheapskates when it comes to their computers. Like, even the teachers didn't have very nice computers. Such cheapskates that, oh, wait, Google Docs? That's free. We don't have to pay for that, and oh, we don't have to make sure that a student has access to Microsoft Word and all that, or provide flash drives and such. It's so convenient. Just let Google take care of it, and we hardly have to pay them anything for it.
Exactly. But shall we move on to our next topic, which I actually had to cut out a couple of topics just to make sure that we will get them all covered, because our next two especially, I feel, are going to create long conversations.
Sure.
So, the CHIPS Act is being mostly reversed by the U.S. government because they're firing employees that were dedicated to the CHIPS Act.
What is that?
It was basically an act that was passed by the U.S. government back in Joe Biden's administration that was supposed to help fund Intel plants in the United States. That way, chips could be made in the U.S.
Huh. Okay. I guess.
I mean, I'm glad they're doing that, since I don't think government funding should be used for that kind of stuff.
Even then, I don't think the money has actually gone there, but that's...
Oh, no, political. There's no way it has, but we're getting too political.
Yeah. But, I mean, that should be obvious. Intel didn't even take advantage of it. Is there an Intel plant here in the U.S.? No. So it's like, obviously, the plan was a failure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense why I got rid of it. But shall we move on to our next topic, which I know is going to create a bigger conversation, and we will probably have to make this explicit, and this will be my topic of tomorrow's video.
Oh, dude, good luck with this.
What you're talking about.
So, remember last week when we talked about Tesla's vandalism? Or the vandalism going on against Teslas?
Let's upgrade that to arson.
So people are now, criminals are now setting Tesla superchargers on stations on fire because of this. And furthermore, there are a lot of Tabby said there are protests going on at his local dealership for Teslas. A Tesla dealership.
It's technically a showroom because they don't actually sell the cars there, but...
That's true.
Yeah. I'm saying that because there's a legal difference, but even... One thing that I'd like to point out about this, though, is that, my goodness, is Tesla on the 8-ball. Like, when the supercharger got burned down, Tesla immediately tweeted, "We're going to get this back online in 48 hours." And they did it in under 24.
That's incredible.
For one, that just goes to show why everyone wants to join the Tesla supercharger network. Even if vandals will burn it to the ground, Tesla's on the 8-ball in getting it back online. What would happen if vandals burned down an Electrify America station?
It would never get fixed.
Also, no one would care if it got fixed or not.
Yeah.
Well, people would care, but it just wouldn't get fixed.
Yeah.
Dude, I will never buy another EV unless it has NACS.
Makes
The
perfect sense.
infrastructure is that bad. It is
Yeah,
horrible. And I don't mean to get too off topic, but the infrastructure on everything but NACS is awful. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't. It's not only to the point where I have home charging. I still wish that I had no EVs because of this. Even with home charging, because you can't get around with home charging 100% of the time,
No.
that's
especially
true.
with a plug-in hybrid. If you have a plug-in hybrid, you're going to, if you want to get everything out of that plug-in hybrid, you're not just going to be able to survive off, home charging. I mean, you can, but you're going to end up using a lot more gas than you want to.
Yeah, like
Today
that's the
I
push
drove.
for plug-in hybrids. The push is you charge up the battery and use it for your typical daily commute, but if you exceed your typical daily commute, then that's what the gas engine is supposed to be for.
And you know what the
Which
fact about it is? These batteries degrade, And yeah, my battery's not too heavily degraded. I only have 20,000 miles on my car, and I'm struggling to get 20 miles of range in the cold. And I don't mean in the freezing cold, I mean in 40 degrees.
I think that's
Ooh.
because hybrids, plug-in hybrids as well. I don't
They
actually
have
think they
small
have a
batteries.
dedicated. No, I don't think they have a dedicated battery heater.
Oh.
Probably not. But whatever it is, it's at the point where I am really just wishing that I got the SQ5 instead, because it's a similar price. And honestly, it would make more sense because at this point, I'm rarely able to actually use that electric. It's like, yeah, maybe I get 20 miles of electric. That'll help. But when the closest thing I have to a daily commute is 40 plus miles away, what am I going to do? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it
So,
doesn't help that
whatever.
Audis in particular, their plug-in hybrid range isn't usually as good as the competition.
I
And
will say this though.
yeah.
One thing that I really, really like about my car, I'm gonna have to unplug this in a second, but I'll finish this up. Audis, you plug it in, it goes. There's no software involved. I have to go unplug my car. I will be right back.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I know why there's no software involved on that because the way the AC charging standard works, I finally figured out every detail on how the signaling works. It's not a digital signal. It's actually uh shoot, what is it called?
An electric signal, electrical signal.
It's using PW pulse width modulation. That's what it is. Pulse width modulation, where it sends a very specific type of electrical signal where you have a voltage and you have a frequency. And also hidden within that is duty cycle. Like it's a bit complicated to explain, but all within an analog pulse width modulated signal. That is everything the car needs to know to charge safely. That's it. No software
I'm
communications
back.
involved. So, uh, yeah, that's why
Anyways,
AC
back to
charging is so simple. But DC, there is other software that is involved, and that's where things go wrong so often.
well, back to the Tesla thing. I feel like at this point it's more about, or I feel like at this point people should stop thinking of it as Elon's company and more of what's going to help them achieve the future that EVs need. Because look, I've never been too big of a fan of Teslas. I think, yes, Tesla's software and hardware are pretty ahead of a lot of other brands. I
Yeah.
mean, driving the ID4, I constantly wish we got a Model 3 over that. Not because of the brand, but because the ID4, it's just not great. but
Yeah, I was kind of
yeah,
shocked that you guys got one because knowing you and how much you care about software, I'm like, that vehicle is not gonna be a good fit in that regard.
you know what it's more about for me? Performance. I'm not a, I'm not a soft driver with this type of stuff. I mean, I will hit the gas, I will go. This car, when I hit the throttle in, it's like nothing. I mean, I can go quarter throttle on my car, and I could beat the ID4 out entirely. I mean, a quarter throttle in my car, and my car is not particularly like the fastest car. It's a quick car. It's fast. ID4, slow. Slowest thing I think I've ever driven, and I've driven some really slow cars.
Is this also the case in the summer? Because I'm also wondering if winter weather affects. Because I know when a battery gets cold, that will also degrade its ability to output electrons as well as inputting electrons.
I mean, it was better in the summer, but it's still the Audi's better in the summer too. The
Yeah.
Audi in the summer, that thing flies. Like I run 4.60 to 60, sometimes 4.7.
Yeah, I think even my car performs better in the summer.
All cars do. All cars perform better in the
Yeah.
summer. Doesn't matter what type. Though I
Hey,
think the
your
reason why
car's
your
0 to
ID4 is
60.
not performing the way you thought is because it's the difference between a Volkswagen Golf and a Jetta. A Jetta is not a performance vehicle at all.
Oh, I mean, I feel like this car would get gapped by a Prius. I think a Toyota Prius would be faster than this. I think this is legitimately one of the slowest cars on the market in the wintertime driving because it's not fast in the summer. It's notably one of the slowest things in the winter though. I mean, it is. Maybe I just got a horrible, just horrible motor in there. Maybe I just got unlucky with that. That
I
thing.
don't think it's the motor. I really do think
I
it's just the battery being so cold.
And then also I don't have the Pro. I just have the rear-wheel drive. So
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
also
right.
takes
The
a lot of
all-wheel
performance
drive goes
out.
faster. Yep.
All-wheel
All-wheel
drive's a
drive goes
lot
faster.
Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot faster.
So yeah, I guess you got more of the average Joe consumer model of the ID4 in that case. But
I
yeah,
don't know.
you're
It's
right.
like I
Back to the Tesla thing. Yeah, you're right. This is one of my biggest frustrations, and it's like we've mentioned before. We don't like Tim Cook, but yet
No.
I mean, he's an
we,
alright
we
guy.
well, I
He thinks
personally
some
really
weird
don't like
things, but
him. I really don't like him, but at the same time, is he supposed to take all the credit for this?
No.
Johnny Ive was in charge of design, and while Tim Cook's good with logistics, I mean, he's got other people to manage that too, but this was designed by a team of people. And there are many other products that. Oh, did you get the same one I have?
yeah, it's a little bit messed up though because some idiot was inside of it.
Uh,
So if you see, it's not an OLED display, but it is on
oh,
iOS 14 still.
huh.
Also, I have the Macan EV shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but oh, I do not want to automatically update.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, besides that, I see what you mean. Yeah, Apple
yeah,
is
and yeah,
not dictated by Tim Cook.
yeah, and this is the case with almost any other company you can. I can't really think of any common product that we buy that's only made by one person.
Yeah.
This is the case with almost every company, and Tesla is obviously no exception. And I personally, I think Elon is getting way too much credit for the work that Tesla has done.
He really is. He's not. Think about it. Elon Musk has, let's see, Twitter, SpaceX, Tesla, The Boring Company, Neuralink. He's got five companies to manage.
There's
On top
also
of his
XAI somewhere in there. And did you also include
I'm counting
SpaceX?
as under X, and then XAI,
Yeah,
and then
SpaceX.
technically, or that might count. And then he's got his government position too. Elon Musk has got a lot on his plate, so he can't. So he's just got to do everything he can to manage all those companies. Like he can't. Like, he can't be the guy who
No,
entirely designs Teslas.
Yeah,
I've had
he's
my
not
own
even the guy
one
that does
since.
the design work at Tesla. Franz is the styling designer, and then there's a whole bunch of other engineers that work on the vehicle too.
I've had my own issues with Elon for a while now, since 2018, but I don't really want to get into that
Yeah.
over recording, just because it's more of personal issues.
Yeah.
I don't really
Makes...
care what people think politically. I mean, if they want to
Yeah.
think what they think, I feel like if I was saying my political beliefs online, I'd like people to agree with me. I don't expect people to agree with me, but I'd like them to. So I feel like, honestly, I can understand both sides of the story. I don't agree with everything that people say online, and I think people should think for themselves. And I think that a lot of the stuff that Elon says, yeah, you should probably think more into that, but I really don't care what he thinks politically. If his product is worth buying, it's worth buying.
Yeah.
And I would buy specific Teslas. Depends on the situation, but yeah.
Yeah, like I think
It's
you'd
kind
be
of
really
like...
interested in a Model 3 Performance, if I'm being honest.
Maybe after the ID4. Maybe. I There are a lot of cars that I want to look at after that, because it's not my car, but I feel like I have a good bit of say in it, because I know the specs of just about every car. So I'm
Hey, I'm coming down to your
more
area
into
in this summer, so we can look around.
that would definitely
Once
be fun. I feel like that would be cool.
Once you have well, aren't you gonna eventually have less say in your parents' cars though? Because I mean, I won't say your age right now, but
I think he's
aren't you
talking. He
eventually
wants
gonna
to get
move out?
the car for himself, not sharing it with his parents.
No, I just mean, like, because honestly, my dad knows what he wants in a car. He's not taking any of my advice in a car. My mom, though, she just goes off of what me
Oh,
and my dad say is good for her. She doesn't really
ah,
care. She wants to get a beater car, from what I can tell, just because it's paid off. But I feel like a beater car is not exactly the greatest idea.
Oh,
Um,
no.
dude, we're living too. I wish I could replace my parents' beater cars. I really wish I could.
that's what
Okay.
I've been saying, because it's
Yeah,
like
I don't know. Do you
everyone
want me to
drives the
go into the story of
ID4.
what happened this week?
What happened?
My mom needs to replace 2 tires on her car.
Man, what's the reason?
So, well, she's had a nail in one, and while it didn't completely pop it, it's just a slow leak that she's just been monitoring. But yesterday, we were on our way to church for Ash Wednesday, and the snow, I couldn't believe this happened, but the snow literally ripped the tire right off the rim.
Oh God.
That's
So,
oh yeah, you sent us the video of it having to get towed in our group
yeah, I sent
chat.
you the video clip where we got towed on the tow truck. But
Yeah, I had to
yeah, it
ride the
just
tow
ripped the
truck
tire
once.
right off the rim. Yeah, she's had like the worst luck with tires on that car. This is like and because I'm pretty sure she's getting the tire with the nail in it replaced, because if you're replacing one, why not replace both? Then it helps with balancing the wear on them. This will be the 4th tire she's replaced on it in the past 2 years.
And that is the Saturn, right? Or
This
wait,
is the
The
GMC
GMC
Yukon.
Sentinel.
oh, oh wow.
Yep, this is
I
the
wouldn't expect
Yukon.
it out of a Yukon. Man,
Yeah,
that's
this will be the
unfortunate.
4th tire she's replacing. So, yeah, she's not particularly happy with that. And then in terms of other reliability problems that all of the cars have had in general, the Yukon lost the heat twice.
That's
Uh,
not that's not good for the UP.
yeah, really bad for the UP. It's also having a lot of electrical issues. The gauge cluster is you can't really rely on the gauge cluster that much. Also, half the time she has no idea what gear she's in. She has no idea if she's in drive, third, or second, because the display that displays what gear you're in, yeah, it's dead. It's also in. There's a lot of grounding issues on the electrical system too, so a lot of lights and various other things don't work. Check engine lights on, which is obviously something you wish you'd never have to deal with. And like that, that's just
I gotta
the
get
Yukon.
my spark plug replaced.
Yeah, yeah, that's just the Yukon.
So...
Then there's my dad's truck, which also has no heat at the moment. The engine seriously needs a tune-up. It needs a basic replacement of everything. It doesn't even have a bed. Oh yeah, and all the vehicles have a ton of rust on them too. And then the car.
So you're basically the only one with a perfect car at this point.
Please don't jinx that. I mean, I just had issues on my way home today, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, like just because of my car's age, like their Buick, my parents' Buick, had to have a whole transmission replaced. On top of that, power steering pump and fuel pump. Brake lines have been replaced on that twice, I believe. Also, there seems to be a design flaw with the Buick Lucerne where apparently it's very easy to puncture the gas tanks in those things.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
So, just
definitely an issue that you don't want to have on your car.
Yeah. It's just... Oh, yeah, and the check engine light's on for we have no idea why. It's on in all of the vehicles except mine. Just...
Oh, boy.
I wish they had better cars, but there's nothing they can do. And as long as they keep breaking down, they'll never be able to afford to replace them. When you own a beater car, to be honest, like, people will say...
Repairs become your car payment.
Yeah. Like, the difference between buying a new car and an old beater car at this point is, where do you want to spend your money? It's either you're spending it paying off a loan...
Would you rather put it towards a payment
or you're constantly repairing it? And I don't know about you, but because I only have one car, just the one, and despite that my parents claim, oh, you can borrow our others if you need to. Well, I don't know, considering the condition they're all in. I'm not sure if that's possible all the time. I'd rather buy a brand new car that hasn't had enough time to develop all these issues and focus on those down payments than buying a beater car and wasting all the money in repairs. I've already done that. I lost way too much money on my first car, it being a beater.
Did you guys buy any of your cars new that you have right now? Because I know yours was used, but what about your parents?
No, they've never been able to afford a brand new car, and my dad really hates the idea of buying brand new cars just because he hates all the technology that's in them. So, like...
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you try to convince him, but it's in nice condition. You don't have to worry about problems coming sooner. It doesn't matter. He will always be the type to buy a used car.
I know for I mean, the reason why I have a 2014 Mercedes-Benz C300 is not because... The reason why I have one is why I have my dad's little car is because my dad didn't want to spend. He chose to continue to pay off that car rather than just having to spend a little bit on a beater and then just keep paying more and more and more on repairs. Even though my car is now starting to have to go in the shop a little more than I'd like it to.
Well, that's because it's a Mercedes.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, it's a luxury car.
Yeah,
so luxury cars generally need to go to the shop a lot because there's a lot more to them.
Yeah.
I had to convince Evan out of buying a cheap Audi.
Yeah, that would have been a smart move.
I was like, dude, you're going to spend more money than the car's worth in the first month repairing everything that's broken on it in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
and he's like, I don't care. It's got a supercharger. But yeah, today we went and looked at older generation GTIs, which I think is what he's gonna settle on because they're nice cars. You know,
Yeah, they are.
it's kind of the first one that we saw was an absolute hunk of garbage, 70K miles, and it drove like an engine with 500,000 miles. I mean that engine sounded horrible.
Yeah.
Like when it sounded like someone stepping on a cat.
Oh,
Teddy, you
yeah.
probably know what that sounds like.
Sadly, I do know what that sounds like.
So.
But in other
I
news,
thought I
it
was
is
going to lose a wheel today.
Would not be good.
What
Yeah,
you want
What's
to
your other
doing?
news, Teddy? Oh, sorry. What's up?
I don't know who's speaking.
Or what we're gonna say, Alpha?
And I lost my train of thought. Shoot.
About your tires. What happened today?
Oh, my car. Yeah. I'm trying to pinpoint. I was driving like 35 miles an hour, on the one street, and the car. It was just. You could. I thought I had a flat tire at first, just the way it was driving. It was driving so poorly at 35 miles an hour. I thought I had a flat. Though, no, my pressures were still up, and it was just snow. Well, also in combination of, I did look at my pressures. They were a bit lower than where they should have been, so, okay. I pulled over at the gas station where they don't charge you for the air. The air is free. So I filled up my tires a bit. I took out the brush and tried to clear out the wheel wells. Then I get back on the highway going 60 miles an hour, and I thought I was about to lose a wheel. Just, it vibrated so bad. My headlights were even shaking. Yeah, I thought I was about to lose a wheel, so I pull over on the next street, and finally I found the culprit. Snow and ice had built up on the inside of the wheel, and it was smacking against the brake calipers. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I guess you figured out what the culprit
who knew it would be
is.
that violent? But it was so violent. I thought I was about to lose the wheel. Just wow. Yeah, I hate the snow. I hate the snow up here. This type of stuff gets so old so fast, and oh yeah, I arrived at work half an hour late just because I could not get my car out of the snow today. We had to find like plywood and use ash from the wood stove. On top of that, pushing it just... I'm starting to think that every vehicle needs like some differential lock. Because the second one of my wheels breaks loose, the car's not moving. It will not send power to the other wheel. It just will not. The second... It's just... I think every car up here needs to have like a differential locker. Just for low speed, getting the car out of, well, snow in my case, but then sand and mud. Just...
So I take it Alpha's not going to move to Canada when he moves out.
I don't know why anybody would move into a cold climate. I will say this right now.
A crap ton of other issues too right now.
Yeah, I know they have tons
I will
of
say
them.
this right now though. Sorry, what's up?
Or you talked, Abby.
No. I don't live in too cold of an area, but this is cold enough to make me never want to ever be in the cold again. And the weather's finally getting a little bit better. I really, really am not looking forward to the next winter. I hate the cold so much.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. You have no idea how bad it can get.
I could imagine what I'm dealing with times many, many more. Horrible.
I I think a big reason why so many Americans choose to live up north instead of in the South, although this is starting to change a little bit, is because the South is because a lot of the South is known for being a poorer and much trashier region of the United States. So as a result, a lot of people chose to avoid that region and go further up north.
I don't know. There's a lot of poor people up here too.
I mean, I know. I mean, like, there's not. I mean, it's just that the South is a lot more associated with rednecks than the northern United States. Like, in terms of stereotypes, like I know there's rednecks up in the UP too.
We're not called rednecks. We're called Yoopers.
Well, I mean, like, people. I mean, by rednecks, I mean, like, people, like,
Wait, Teddy, are you a redneck?
No.
Are any of your cats rednecks?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're
Man, those
that rich up
rednecks in
here
their
either.
trucks are funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you look at our houses up here, they are very terrible quality, which you'd think they'd be better insulated for cold temperatures up here, but nope, not the case here. Most of them are pretty run down, actually.
Makes sense. Who'd want to live in a place with a cold climate, high taxes, and no freeways?
And the for a time until California fixed this, we used to have the most expensive electric rates in the nation.
That too.
I looked at our prices. We're pretty darn close to like 26, 27 cents a kilowatt hour up here. It's bad. It's real bad.
Well, it makes sense.
At least we have clean water.
Get all your power from Wisconsin.
Yeah, at least we have clean water. That's the one benefit that I think we have over other places.
I mean, to be fair, you're in Michigan, which is a state surrounded by water, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's the one thing that I don't like about cities. It's just the chlorinated and the recycled water, and just it's terrible. I really hate city water. And it's with a passion.
In other news, it is 8:08 p.m. where I am, so we are 8 minutes later than we usually go, so it's alright if we just go ahead and wrap the show now.
It's up to you.
I don't know.
I have more time tonight than other nights, but it's up to you guys.
Same here. I'm not particularly pressured for time. I'm not pressured for time at all either. So.
I kind of am just because I don't like to go too late, and also I have to get up early tomorrow.
Same here.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
But, yep.
And also our only other topics.
An hour later for us, though.
We didn't really have many topics left. Our only other topic was that the overall serial wasn't coming until iOS 20, which is a rumor. Which, just goes to show how well organized Apple is for Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, I guess if you want to, we can finish this up.
All right. As always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Fan Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Maggart from the iTunes Fanboy.
I'm TC, Tabby Cat, whatever.
My name is Alpha Wolf from the Random Alpha.
And as always, I'm saying peace out for now, and we're reminding you not to use your Apple Intelligence or use your artificial intelligence, excuse me.
Artificial intelligence, always, that's what it is.
And as always, thank you all for tuning in, and peace out.